Really appreciate you being here on a Saturday afternoon. As you know, we are here for our workshop today, Train Smarter, Small Tweaks for Big Gains. Before we start, a quick run through what we'll be doing today. We'll be talking a bit in depth about how to plan your personal workouts that fit you and how to curate something for yourself. And second half of the workshop, what we'll be doing is to go into a bit of form in your exercises techniques, and I'll be giving you roughly 2 to 3 tweaks for each major movement so that you can work out a bit more efficiently and get more gains of the effort that you're putting in. Okay, when you came in, Marsha passed you a piece of paper. This particular paper you have would be for yourself, for you to write down your goals, and as we go a bit further into the workshop, you might be tweaking these goals and making them a bit more specific, a bit more targeted for your benefits. Okay, now we can go ahead and start. So a quick talk about the agenda of today's workshop. Marsha? My goal by the end of this hour is to empower you to go to the gym and start your workout, start building something from here. It's going to be a long-term journey, so it's not going to be, hey, let me try this for 1 month, but something that you're going to keep growing with over the years from here. It's to help you create awareness about what you're doing in the gym, what you want for yourself, to create precision, so knowing exactly what you're doing, and not just making guesses in the gym, oh, should I be doing this, should I be doing that, not looking at other people and be like, hey, maybe I should be doing that instead, but knowing exactly what fits you, and also creating a purpose. So this is super important. You need a purpose for yourself, for anything that you do in life. So this would be more workout specific. We do not want to go to the gym because everyone else is going to the gym. Your neighbor's going to the gym. You want to go to the gym because you want to gain something very specific out of it, and this purpose might be constantly evolving. So every different phase of your life, you would have a different purpose, but at any one point of time, being very sure about what that particular purpose is, I think that is what I would like to pass on to you as well. What we'll be doing today, we'll be going through goal setting, we'll be doing how to plan a workout, we'll be going into recommended workouts, and we will be doing breathing techniques during a workout. Now, before we go any further, I'd like to talk a little bit about our journey of Music Love Yoga and Flow House. I took my PT certification roughly 3 years ago, and at that point, after taking my PT cert, I was still not super familiar with the gym. I felt it was a very male-dominated space, and I was not very comfortable. Believe it or not, I used to go to the gym at 4 a.m. in the morning. So that no one is there, I don't have to worry about making a fool of myself. I can go there, I can sit a bit longer, I can experiment with the different equipment. And this is a reason why we started the Flow House Gym, is to make sure that you don't have to go through that journey, for us to help you create a safer space. And also, what was the catalyst for us to start a gym? A different story on that. I was in a gym, I was doing my workout, and I actually had a male trainer come up to me and say, hey, you're doing your squats wrong. You're going too deep into your squats. And that day, I actually left the gym. I went back home. I told Raga, I'm never going to go back to the gym, and I was crying. And then he was like, hey, if you say this, what about all the other women out there who don't have a PT cert, who are not even comfortable in the gym? What's going to happen to them? And that's the reason why we started our attic gym. This was just last year. Around April, May, we started our gym on the 3rd level. And then this year in June, we started this gym. That was mostly because it was a restaurant. They closed down, and then we had many hints from clients being like, hey, your first level is now free. Maybe it's time for you to take it up, do something. Then this place was born. We're really happy to share this space with you and to grow. Okay, now, moving on, we are going to talk a bit about the common goals. So these are all the goals combined. All of you guys, very interesting how I had recurring things coming up. So a lot of people mentioned weight management, so losing weight or maintaining weight. Some people even said gaining weight. To keep fit, to keep healthy, specific targets like 4 to 5 kg of weight loss. Strength building, muscle building, so to build strength, get stronger, to get more muscles, to get toner. And also body composition, dropping body fat percentage, increasing muscle mass, long-term health. This is a really important one for better posture, mobility, for increasing bone health, for better, more graceful aging, so on and so forth. And lastly, we have a lot of performance goals as well. So some people finishing a high rock, some people full marathon, half marathon, climbing a mountain, and also building your own independent workout plan with confidence. Before we go further into how to build a plan, we want to understand that less is more. So getting more muscles, getting fitter doesn't mean you have to work out 7 days a week. It could be as simple as 3 to 4 workouts a week, and knowing how to work out most effectively. Doesn't mean that we have to start following a lot of diet plans. Sometimes simple means more effective as well, and also you don't have to be on multiple supplements. So, hey, everyone's taking protein powder, everyone's taking creatine, everyone is taking pre-workout. What more do I need to take? Sometimes, once again, the lesser the better as well. So knowing what works for your body, so you might need to experiment a little, and from there just go through the process of elimination and trying to figure out what is working best for you. Now, I'd like to show you a couple of videos about my own progress. So this was me when I did my PT course. Not the best squat, so it looked something like this. Okay, now moving forward from there, the next one, this was in a gym that I used to go to. A very amazing gentleman who helped me, who spotted me through my first 50 kg squat, and I failed. So next progress, and after that, through consistent training, 50 kg on my own without any spotter, and it becomes comfortable. So it's really, the more you do something and the more you do it right, by default, you're going to gain the progress. So just keeping that in mind. Sometimes it might take a year, sometimes it might take 2 years, but keep going at it. So the most important part of today's workshop, I would like to focus more on how to structure a balanced workout session for yourself. So this is something that you need to remember. Take a picture if you need to. This is all you need to know about creating the most effective workout for yourself. So every workout always starts with a warm-up. So you need to warm up the body. How do we warm up the body? We want to warm up the body according to the routines that you're going to go into. So if you're doing a lower body workout, yes, you have to still warm up your upper body, because your upper body is involved in your lower body workouts as well. But you want to be able to do movements that are going to mimic your workout, your exercises themselves. So for example, if you are doing a squat, your squat works your hips. This is the major joint that it works. So what you want to be able to do is warm-ups like your clamps. So clamps actually help with warming up the hip joint, fires up your glutes, fires up your inner thighs, so that when you go into the main exercise itself, you're going to stay very safe. If you're going to be lunging, weighted lunges, your warm-ups would be a couple of maybe walking lunges. If you're going to be doing deadlifts, RDLs, you might just want to do your good mornings where you are focusing on hinging on your hips. So your warm-ups are just as important as your back squats or your deadlifts. You have to focus on the warm-ups. This will actually increase the performance of your workout itself, helps with recovery as well, so you're going to stay very safe. Next would be your main lift. Main lift would be the main exercise that you are working towards. Once again, like we mentioned, either barbell squat, it could be a deadlift, it could be hip thrust, it could be bench press. So the big movements that you want to fit into your workout, followed by your accessory movements. What are accessory movements? Accessory movements are movements or routines that are going to help you build towards your main lifts. So you don't want to do your accessory movements before your main lift. Anyone wants to give a guess why? Why do you not want to do accessory before main lift? Yes, we will get tired. You're going to tire out the muscles. So you did your warm-ups, yes, but when you do your warm-ups, you don't load your body. Usually go with like body weight warm-ups and stuff. Whereas accessory movements could be, for example, your leg press. It could be your hamstring curls. So if you go into that first, you might fatigue your muscles, and then when you go into a main lift, you will not be able to give it your all. Okay, and then finally, you have to, this is the part where people, I did my workout, I'm going to go back home now. You know, that's it. I'll do my stretches one day when I need it. No, it's very important. You need to cool down after every single workout. Once again, just like how we chose our warm-up routines of how to get to the main lifts, we want to recover what muscles worked the most, which muscles you loaded the most, which would have tightened and contracted the most. So if you did a lot of upper body, a lot of shoulders, you might just want to go into thread the needle on the ground. And you also, a quick tip, you also want to go into more static stretches after your workout. What are static stretches? Static stretches are stretches where you hold them a little longer. So you go into a position and you just hold for maybe a minute, 2 minutes. Now, that being said, when you do your warm up, a yes or no question, would you want to do static stretches?
No,
what do we do? Dynamic. Why? Anyone wants to give a guess?
because you're gonna wake up all those joints and muscles.
Yes.
Instead of like static.
That's right. So what you want to do is, for your warm-up, you do dynamic movements so that you are actually warming up the joint and you're not just focusing on the muscle. So what happens when you stay in a static stretch for a long period? You're lengthening the muscle. Now what happens to a rubber band when you pull it, and you hold it there? It loses its elasticity, and it also loses it when you let go. Will it bounce back to its original if you kept it there for a long while? It will lose its elasticity. So then you also lose power in that muscle. So we do not want to do long static stretches as warm-up. Warm-ups are always dynamic movements, and your cool downs, you can do dynamic, but you also want to incorporate static stretches. Quick question again. Yoga stretches, yoga movements, do you want to do it at point number 1 or point number 4?
4.
Okay. Do we have any objections? Okay, no. Now, squats, body weight squats. Do I do that as a warm-up or do I do that as a recovery? Warm-up, that's right. Okay, so any questions on this? Now, this is all you need. This is the skeleton. All you have to do is fit in the different exercises now. Now we're going to build on a little more knowledge. Next slide, Masha. So we did run through main lift versus accessory lift. Okay, now I'll give you 3 exercises. You tell me if it's the main lift or accessory lift. We go deadlift. Okay, hamstring curl. Leg extension. Bench press. And plank. Accessory. Yes. So plank is not a main workout because you don't plan an entire workout around plank.
Plank as in like body plank?
Just body weight plank, yes. So we would do that
Accessory then.
because you are actually working your core to strengthen you towards the bigger movements. It's not one big movement on its own. Yes.
I would thought if accessories is like, use and accessories.
No. So accessory movements does not mean you need to use a machine. Walking lunges, body weight walking lunges, what is that? Main or accessory? Accessory. Now if I hold on to a barbell and I do reverse lunges, main, yes.
Main like a compound.
Main can be a compound, very quick run through, compound movement versus isolated movements. What is the difference? Compound movement is an exercise where you use more than one joint. Your isolated movement is a movement where you use a single joint. So leg extension, you're comfortably sitting down and you're just doing this up and down. So only one joint is working, so that is an isolated movement. Now when I do a deadlift, multiple joints are actually working, so I call that a compound movement. Now, does that make sense? Okay, now my next question comes in. Does a compound movement have to necessarily be a main lift? So a compound movement does not have to be a main lift. A squat, a lunge, even your RDLs can actually be an accessory lift. So don't get confused. That's the reason why in today's presentation I actually didn't put a compound versus isolated movement, because we don't want to go into that. We just want to know what's a main lift, what's accessory, so you know how to build your workout from there. Okay, we go on to the next slide. Okay, Feel free to snap a shot if you want to. So if you want to plan a workout, and an effective workout where you don't have to do too many things, see if you can hit these 10 exercises in a week. That doesn't mean you have to do all these exercises every single session. You'll be in the gym for 3 hours. So we do not want that. We want to just pick and choose which to do when, and as long as you've hit all these 10, you would pretty much have focused on all the different body parts. Maybe you won't be as isolated. Let's talk about incline dumbbell press. Why do we do an incline press? Where your bench is not all the way down, neither is it all the way up. Because the more upright you are with the press, you work on your delts and your shoulders. The more flat you are, the more you work on chest. Now, if you are pressed for time, you can't be like, here, I don't have time to do 4 sets of shoulder presses, 4 sets of bench press. You work both muscles at the same time with that. Just that you don't get the max load, max benefits of the 2 different exercises, but you still hit maybe at least 50% of both. So you still target both. But if you are able to do more than 3 workouts a week, then you can split them up into a shoulder press and a bench press. That's the reason why we call it a cheat sheet. If you are just working towards really getting short, quick, efficient workouts, just get this in within a week, a full week. Now, any questions on this so far?
No deadlift here.
Okay, so why is there no deadlift? We have our RDLs and we have our squat. You combine your RDL and your squat, you get a deadlift. Yes, so you target your glutes, you're targeting your hamstrings, you're targeting your quads, and you target your back as well with your RDLs. So you are getting both benefits which will combine to that deadlift. So that doesn't mean that if you don't do your deadlifts 4 times a week, you will not benefit. As long as you're constantly working on your RDLs, your Romanian deadlifts and your squats, you're going to gain the benefits of doing a deadlift as well. Just that deadlifts on its own, yes, you get better at that movement, you get stronger. If you're pressed for time, just breaking that down and getting these done instead. So that was a very good question. Okay, next, a cheat sheet for your upper body. How do you come up with the upper body workout? In your upper body workout, in movements itself, we'll go into movements a little deeper later, but a quick breakdown. In your upper body, you can split your upper body movements into a push and a pull. So a push, can you just show me with your hands what a push means? Just sitting down while you're sitting down. Okay, what's a pull? Okay, so you can break both push and pull to vertical and horizontal. What is a horizontal push? It's this. What's a vertical push? It's this. Horizontal pull would be this. Vertical pull would be this. So hitting both. Okay, and then we have our accessory movements, which will be bicep curls, triceps. So going a bit deeper into the smaller muscle groups and the more targeted muscle groups as well. Okay, for lower body we have squat, lunge and hinge. We also created a glute isolation. So squat would be this kind of a movement, and you have different kinds of variations that you can do. You have a hinge movement. Hinge would be this, where you're bringing your torso closer towards your lower limbs and your point of flexion is your hips. So you can choose a couple of movements from there. You have your lunge. Lunge would be a movement like this, a unilateral movement, which means you have to work each side on its own. And we have glute isolation. So glutes would be the muscles around your bum. So we have exercises for that. And we have accessory exercises as well. Hamstring curls, leg extension, calf raises. And we also have something called our hip abduction that also works with your accessory exercises as well. Okay, next we go into full body. So for full body workouts, this is something that you can work on. So what we did just now, the upper lower body, that will be more splits. So I'll be coming to that the next slide. So if you want to do a full body, this is what you can kind of work with as well. So either you can do splits of upper lower or a full day of a full body workout as well. Okay, next. Now, I've just put in a couple of workouts that I just took off apps or Instagram. Now, I would like you to see if you can break this down into what's your main lift, what's your accessory lifts. Just in your mind, just for a quick moment, and then I'll talk you through it. Okay, now, hip thrust. What do you think that is? Main. Okay, RDLs? Walking lunge. Walking lunge can be a main if you're using heavy load. That can actually go into your main lift as well. Just doing body weight or lighter loads, you can work as an accessory movement. Lateral raise, this. What is that? I would say it's an accessory movement. It works the delts. Face pull, okay, this is an interesting one. It kind of sits in between main and an accessory movement because it works on quite a big muscle group, your back. And finally your plank, we already mentioned that will be an accessory movement. So now, going into cable deadlift or deadlift, what would that be? A main lift. So this is a different workout itself, a different workout. So your cable deadlift or just a regular deadlift would be a main lift. Okay, heel elevated goblet squat. It could be a main lift as well. And dumbbell box step overs. So it's more of like a step up. You have a bench, you step up, and then you come back down. Would that be a main or accessory? That would be an accessory. And then we have seated abductors, accessory, and then singlet curls would also be accessory. Okay, I have one more for you. Okay, so this is one workout, upper body workout. Seated barbell press. Is that a main or accessory?
Is this without the load?
With or without load? Main. That's a big movement actually. So it's a main lift. Okay, cable flies? I would say that would be an accessory. Yes. And then cable? Main, that's right. Face pulls, we mentioned that's an in-between. Curls? Accessory. Triceps? Accessory. And that will be ending with core. All of that will be accessory as well. Yes. It will be what is helping you towards your main. Yes, what's helping you towards your main movements. So helping you strengthen toward the main. Okay, this is a rough idea of how your workout would be. So if you're planning to work out 4 days and up, so 4 or 5 days, I don't really recommend more than 5 days. You need to take a break. You need to be able to rest. So a 4-day split would look something like upper body 1 day, lower body 1 day, upper and then lower. So if you're working out more than 4 days a week, 4 days and up, why do we do splits? Why do we do upper body 1 day, lower body 1 day? Why don't we work the full body? So how do you recover when you do splits? So today I do upper body, tomorrow I do lower body. Tomorrow when I'm doing my lower body, my upper body would rest. And then day 3 or day 4, I do the next one, my lower body will rest. So we do not want to do, it's okay for you to do upper, back to back, but don't do lower back to back because your muscles in the lower half of your body are bigger muscle groups. The bigger the muscles are, the longer it takes to recover. Upper body, they are smaller, so it's okay for you to load them one day after the other. So just keeping that in mind. Now if you're working 3 days, working out 3 days a week and below, you want to do full bodies because you don't want to do a split on a 3-day workout because then you have to compromise. You have to choose, hey, do I want to do 2 upper body, 1 lower body, or do 2 lower body and 1 upper body? We do not want that. So from what I've noticed, this might not be for everyone, but just a trend that I usually see, women like to work lower body. Men like to work upper body, but both are important because, for example, if I just work my lower body, eventually my upper body strength is going to limit me on how much I can push my lower body because I'm doing deadlifts. If my upper body doesn't have enough strength, I can't lift the load to load up my lower body. So that is very important for you to work both ways. It comes hand in hand. Okay, any questions on this, guys? All good? Okay, we'll go on to the next slide. Okay, now before we go into this, I am going to get you to do a very quick practice. I'm going to get you to write out 2 workouts for me in 2 minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, really quickly. So you have a pen, you have a paper, doesn't have to be right, you just have to keep doing it more and more and more so that it will make sense. Now, what you need to think about is, what do you want to achieve? So you wrote down your goal on your paper. Now, whatever workout you're going to write down needs to lead back to that. Okay, now take a moment really quickly. Doesn't have to be this workout that you follow next week. Don't worry, we're going to refine it even more. But before you leave the room today, we want to try to create something. So try to work it out. So maybe you can do 2 full body for me, or you could do 1 upper, 1 lower body for me. So once again, think about what your goals are. Maybe even think about what exercises, what movements you like, what movements you're strong at. Also not leaving out your weaknesses and limitations. Sometimes what we don't like might be what we really need. There's a reason why we don't like something. Take a quick moment. We'll take 30 more seconds. Just squeeze those brain juices and write something down. So around what we spoke about just now, warm up. We do our main lift, we do our accessory lift, we do our cool down. Maybe don't worry about your warm up and cool down for now. Write down what your main lift is, what your accessory lift would be. We'll take another 10 more seconds. So scribble down anything you need to. And then after this, we will be moving on to the different kind of movements that we do, and I'm going to help you refine some of those movements as well. What Julia mentioned is, goal is posture. So what helps with posture? Anyone? The posterior chain of your body. So all the muscles that run along the back of the body. So anything that works that is actually going to work your posture. So something really quick, something you have said many times, the word deadlift. Deadlift is going to work your posterior chain. It works a lot on your lats, works the glutes. So that would help with posture.
That would be my main lift.
That could be a main lift. RDL could be mainly for even your hip thrust, which works your glutes, can be your main lift. Okay. Yes. So now it depends on whether you're doing a full body or upper lower split.
Well, I know you said keep it simple. Would
Yeah.
it be realistic to do upper body with a posture?
Yeah.
I broke it out to upper and lower, but I also want to squat.
That's great. So you can do a full body then.
Okay.
You're doing split? You're doing a split?
I did a split. So
Okay.
it would be, yeah.
So you'll be doing it over 2 days then?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, that's great. So with your upper body, there's so much we can work with posterior. It can be your pulls. So maybe what you're working on is pull-ups. So assess what you're going to do to work towards pull-ups would be your lat pull-downs. It could be your face pulls. So many things that you can work towards too as well. Yes.
But then my main lift would be like a deadlift. And
Yeah.
I would do like upper.
Yes. And then, so deadlift would go on the lower body, not upper body. Yes. So on a upper body day, what you could start off would be shoulder press, and then going into a cable row, and then chest, and then going into a lat pull down. So you could work it through that as well. And then the accessory movements will be bicep curls, triceps. Yes, that's right. Thank you, Julia. Heidi, just talk me through it.
Full body lunge, weighted lunge.
Okay.
Then RDLs.
Okay.
And then for upper body, shoulder press, and then rows pulls.
That is great.
Sit up.
And would you do me the favor of connecting this to the goal that you have?
Oh,
The purpose?
General strength.
Okay, so a full strength, full body strength. Okay, so that's great. Any other thoughts on this? All good? Okay, perfect. I think one thing I missed out on just now about the full body is that if you're planning a full body workout, do you think there's a sequence you need to go into of lower, upper, core, or can you start anywhere doing, hey, what do I feel like today? Let me choose that. Are you sure? Yeah. Yes. Okay. So if you're doing a full body, you want to go lower, upper, and then go for your core. Now, why? Why do we start with lower and not upper? Yes, so your lower body has bigger muscle groups. If you start with upper, then your lower will not have enough power to push. So you start with your lower and then you end with your upper. Now, what happens if I want to push with both? I want to go to my max with bench press and I also want to go max into my deadlift. Then it's not ideal for you to do a full body, because by the time you go into your bench, with your deadlift, you actually use so much upper body strength that when you go into your bench, you can't really push anymore. So that's when your goals are really like, hey, I want to hit my personal best, I want to keep pushing with load, you might need to do your splits then. So with a full body, that's when a bit of a compromise would actually come in. So working with that. Okay, now, I've really gotten you to try a bit of planning. We want to go a bit further into movements, and then from there, you can go ahead and refine your workouts further. Okay, now, when it comes to your workout, there's only a few movements that all the exercises would stem from. So these are the fundamentals. Now, we have a squat, we have a lunge, we have a hinge. So this would be mostly your lower body movements. And then for upper, you have your push and your pull. Okay, now what we're going to do today is go a bit deeper into each movement, where I'll be giving you 2 to 3 tweaks in each movement to make them more efficient for you. Before we go into the next slide, I was recommended I should do breathing first, so that'll be perfect. So, breathing. How important is breathing when you work out? Do you think that's like the thing you figure out last? Or do you think that's the first thing you need to think about? Or do you not even think about it? You're just like, okay, let the breath come as it goes.
It's important because like with breathing, you can focus like muscle, body,
Mind-body connection?
mind-body connection.
Okay, that's,
for me.
yes. So that's very true. I would say breathing is key. So before I even start my movement, I actually figure out my breath first. Okay, why? So a quick run through breathing, and we call it bracing. So bracing of your abdomen. It is not just an add-on to your strength training, feeling like, hey, today I feel like I want to work on my breathing, so I'm going to incorporate breathing. I'm actually going to focus in depth with my breathing, and then I'm going to go into my routines. Why? Because they determine how much force you generate in each movement, how safely you move, and how efficiently you protect your spine and your internal organs. So, for example, how I would get maybe Yam to breathe would be very different from how I get a pregnant woman to breathe. So, breathing is so specific that we actually got to work depending on how you are and what's best for your anatomy as well. Okay, so they also regulate your nervous system, which is what Rachel spoke about, the mind-body connection. It helps you go a bit deeper into that, and it helps you with strength, endurance, stability, and recovery. Okay, now before we go into the next slide, anyone wants to give a shout out of how your breath work is when you do your exercise? Okay, for example, a squat. We do a squat. How does the breathing go? Okay, why don't I give you 2 options? Option number 1. I breathe in as I sit into my squat. I breathe out as I come up. Or I breathe in, I hold my inhale, I go down, breathe out, I come up. Which one is it? A or B? Okay, why? Is there a reason why B is wrong?
Because you're kind of like holding your breath like midway.
Okay. Okay, so the answer is B actually. Okay, so why? So when you breathe, when you inhale and when you hold your breath, you're actually increasing your intra-abdominal pressure, which is very important to keep the rigidity and the stability of your spine and the midsection of your body. Okay, think about it this way. When a wheel, a tire, when a tire is filled with air, is it stronger, or if the tire is flat, it's stronger? Which one has more stability? When it's filled up. That's the exact same thing. When I inhale, so it'll look something like this. I inhale, I hold, and I move. This is not going to go back and forth. It's going to stay very stable. And then when I go into my forceful, exertive movement, I exhale. But when I come up and I'm exhaling, my exhale is very controlled. I don't exhale and then I move up mindlessly. I exhale throughout the entire movement. Now, even to a point, sometimes when I'm carrying a very heavy load, I inhale, hold that inhale, I go down, I come up, and then towards the end, I exhale. I don't even exhale at the bottom. So that will help me keep that pressure, keep that stability going throughout the entire movement. Powerlifters, sometimes they're doing 3 bench presses, heavy load. They also, I do not recommend though, they go to the point where all 3 reps, they don't even breathe. They actually hold their breath throughout. So that is when you go extreme. Like 6 reps, you don't want to hold it. You're just going to blank out after that. So you just need to make sure your breathing is intact. Okay, that being said, how is the correct method? Inhale. I fill up the belly. Hold the inhale. Imagine someone's coming to punch you right in the tummy. You contract. You squat. Exhale. You drive it back up. Now, with your breathing technique, you're also going to give yourself core stability and spinal stability. So if you look at my spine, I'm not moving my spine at all. It's just all my breathing. So inhale, exhale. Do you notice something happens to my spine? What happens to my spine? My spine flexes. So I don't have that extra arch in my back. My spine, my pelvis gets very neutral, and this helps me stay stable throughout my entire movement. So you want to maintain the core stability, whether you're doing a lat pull down, you're doing a shoulder press, you want to be able to maintain that. So this is super, super important. So that's inhale. Imagine someone's coming to punch you right in the tummy. Hold that engagement. Squat. Still holding the engagement. Exhale as you come back up. So this is very good for a safe practice. What does your breathing technique do? It acts like a pressure, like an internal weight belt. It stabilizes your spine. It helps with very crucial movements like squats, deadlifts, kettlebell swings, overhead lifts. It protects your disc. So you do not want any kind of slip disc, any herniation. So you want to have a lot of stability. It helps to transfer the force effectively. And it acts like a very strong pillar. So a very rigid torso acts like a very strong pillar for you. Okay, any questions on this, guys? And then I can go to the next movements already. So from today onwards, you cannot be blank when you work out. You will have a list of things running through your head when you work out. Inhale, breath work, let me squat, let's come up, exhale. And if in between each rep, you actually need to take an extra breath, please go ahead. Don't feel like you have to keep rushing through every single movement, rushing through your breath. You might want to take an extra breath and then inhale and then go for it. So no rushing through it. So that's the reason why you notice sometimes strength training, it takes longer because every movement actually slows down because you are very intentional about every single movement that you're going into. Okay, now first movement would be your squat. One more thing before I move on. With the breathing, I said inhale, expand. A very common mistake is when people breathe, the shoulders, clavicles will also move. What happens when I do this? Everything starts to tense up. So when you're breathing in, what I want you to focus on is more expansion over here. This shouldn't even lift. So it will be something like this instead. Okay, just where you're sitting, I'm going to get you to try maybe 3 to 5 breaths on your own. This should not move. So imagine I'm holding onto a barbell. I lift. I'm going to end up creating so much tension over here. So this has to always be engaged when I'm holding my barbell, and just only this is going to be expanding. This doesn't lift up. Okay, just try a couple of breaths and then we're going to move on to our squats already. Okay, any questions so far? All good. Okay, that's also a reason why I always tell people when I'm training you, sometimes I'm just staring at your tummy. That's all because I just want to see if you're breathing right. So that's how it actually helps for a trainer to actually see if the client's breathing and engaging. We're going to go into a couple of movements. We're going to go into squats, going to go into hinging, lunging, push and a pull. Okay, and in every movement, I'm going to give you 2 to 3 tips, which is going to change how you see that movement altogether. Can you tell me what do you think about Don't tell me I just think about squatting down and coming up. What do you think about in your mind? What's a checklist, if there is a checklist, that you try to tick when you're doing a squat? Just feel free to just throw anything out to me.
Stick your pelvis out there.
Tuck the pelvis. What else?
Push the knees out, like to the side.
Okay. Yes. Rip the floor. Anything else? Okay, now we are going to, okay, with that, anything that determines how your squat will turn out, anatomically, structurally, from what you know. Your hips, how mobile your hips are, actually would affect your squat. How mobile your ankles are would limit your squat. And the length of your femur would actually limit your squat. Okay, so I'm going to get two people to demo. I'm going to get Raga to come over. And the opposite of Raga, anatomically, structurally, is Sophia. Okay, we'll get both of them to come over here. They're going to be both facing the lat pull down machine. Okay, they're going to do a squat. So I'm going to count 3 seconds. They'll take 3 seconds to squat and 1 second. No, you can stand. Okay, you can stand here. Okay, so just look at both of them squatting. Okay, maybe you come forward a bit. Okay, squat, just squat. Okay, what do you okay, what do you notice about that?
You didn't try hard enough.
You didn't try hard enough, I'm sorry. Okay, one more time. Just see if you can notice something. I give you a hint. Structurally, how their bodies are built. Both of them, they can do very good squats. Both their squats are good, but just how they are just uniquely them. Tell me what's the difference. Okay, squat again, please. Okay. He's trying very hard, don't worry. Anything?
The length of the
Femur. Okay, now, do you notice, so Sophia's femur is here? Okay, this. Now, we transfer that to Raga. You see, it's like, so for Sophia to sit in a squat, okay, can you guys do in slow motion, very slowly? Okay, see how much Sophia needs to drop before she goes into a squat. Okay, squat, squat. She already dropped in a squat. But for Raga, because his femurs are this long, he has to push so much further back to sit. And because of that, his torso leans forward. Whereas for Sophia, because her torso is longer, she has legs are shorter, torso's longer. For him, torso's shorter, legs are longer. So she would be in a more upright squat. He would be in a squat that's leaning forward. Also, he has tighter ankles. So it limits how much he can push his knees forward. Sophia has really flexible ankles, so it's very easy. So both of them would have their limitations and their strengths. So Sophia can do a squat very easily. But the thing is that she can actually go into a squat without even engaging. Okay, Sophia, just don't think about engagement, just squat and come back down. So she can just squat and come back down. And over time, she does this with maybe a 60 kg load, she can actually injure herself if she doesn't think about the muscle engagement. 3 things I'm going to tell you about your squat. Number 1, just imagine you are, so feet should be somewhat, I would say, hip width distance apart. Hip width, shoulder width apart. Now, a quick tip for you to find out what's your most ideal squat stance would be to jump and land and see where your feet land. That will be your most stable position usually. From there, just imagine you have a piece of paper under your feet and you're trying to externally rotate the feet. You're trying to rip the paper under your feet by screwing your feet away from each other. Okay, when this happens, what do you think happens when I rip apart? Do you see anything happening to my body? What is happening? My hips open. So anything which abducts my hip, which means my hip is moving away from the midline of my body, would actually engage my glutes. Now, squats work your glutes and your quads. The major joint that works in your squat is your hips. So you need to first of all, even before you sit in your squat, work your hips. So you're externally rotating the hips. Okay, next. This can sound very weird, but I promise you it makes a world of a difference. Imagine there's a wall in front of you and imagine you want to pee onto the wall. What would you do? I wouldn't do this. I would tuck my pelvis. So, number 1, rip the ground apart. Number 2, tuck the pelvis. And 3, stay as upright as you can and let the pelvis drop straight down. So, I don't do this and sit. Instead, I keep it tucked, I keep it neutral, I rip, and then I sit into my squat. Okay, now a very quick demo of that with Sophia. Sophia, come on over. Okay, so her feet, shoulder width apart, hip width distance apart. Toes are pointing out slightly. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Don't have the feet parallel because naturally when you squat, your knees are going to point out. So I wouldn't say, so Pauline, you said knees out. I would say more hips out instead. Okay, from there, she's going to rip the paper apart. She's going to think about peeing on the wall, so she would tuck her pelvis. Now from there, all she does is to just maintain those 2 things and sit all the way down, 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 and she comes back up. Okay, so that was a beautiful squat. Now we bring Raga over. Thank you, Sophia. Okay, so we did mention he has his ankle mobility is something that limits him. So usually what I notice, this is not for everyone, but majority, people who have a shorter torso and longer legs, we find that they have tighter ankles. So that limits their squat. And you just have to work a little bit on that. What can I do for that? Any idea? How to help him with his ankle mobility? Julia, what do we do? Elevate the feet. Elevate the heels. Yes. Okay, so all I do is grab onto something like this. I place it on the floor. If you don't have these elevation, just 2 plates. Now, come on over. Okay. Just remember the first squat he did, okay? So he's not going to reenact that. We're going to do a good squat now. So he starts to rip the ground apart. Think about peeing onto the wall, and he's going to sit in his squat. Open the hips, open, 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 open. Okay, we can still work on it, but it's better already. That's the moral of the story. Okay, now, Julia, do you think I can do a quick demo with you, if you don't mind? Yes, okay. So Julia came in and she says, I can't do, like, my squats. My squats are not really good. And then we tested it. She has beautiful squats. But then it's just, once again, her ankle, because she's tall. Long legs, short torso. Can I get you to just do a squat like how you would? Yeah. So the same issue where she starts to tip forward. All I did was to just place elevation. Okay, now open the hips and take your time, Julia. Her squats just evolved. So, thank you so much. Okay, so just remember, rip the ground apart, pee onto the wall, and go straight down. That's all you need to do. Okay, perfect. Any questions, guys? Anyone needs their squats to be assessed? We're all good? So hinging and deadlift. With hinging, we don't talk about deadlift yet. With hinging, what are the cues that you think goes through your mind while you do your hinging movement? Push the bum to the wall. Okay, so what I usually would say is imagine you have an open door behind you and you're trying to close that door with your bum. So when you want to close the door with your bum, you wouldn't do this, would you? You would try to stick the bum out as much as you can and you'll push it all the way back. I would say one of the most important cues about hinging would be bum to the wall or close the door with your bum. We want a straight spine. So when you're hinging, you don't want to end up with your spine rounded. So you want to have a straight spine, neutral spine. So what I would do, imagine I'm doing it, RDL, I would tuck my pelvis. I would pull my shoulder blades down. Okay, so another cue I usually give is armpit to your hip. Think about bringing your armpit closer to your hip, and then we go ahead and hinge. So that keeps a very neutral spine. What happens if I look forward? I'll start to arch my back. My back would, I'll start to take all the load in my lower back. So always stay flexed in your spine, chin to the chest, and then you go for it. Okay, now we're going to do a very quick run through of our deadlift checklist and how to do our deadlift. Okay, so very quick 10 points you want to focus on. Number 1, keep your feet hip width distance apart. So this would be for a conventional deadlift. We also have something called sumo deadlift where you have your feet wider. Usually women tend to go into sumo deadlifts because we have a bit of a wider hip. So this is a preferred stance, but I would say conventional is a very good conventional deadlift is something that you can work on very easily. Okay, so stance hip width distance apart. How do you go to the bar? You have the bar over the midfoot, you brace your core, grab bar on the outsides of the legs, rotate the hips out, exactly like what we said in a squat, long and relaxed arms, crown of the head, up and chest lifted, armpit to the hips, push the legs away from you, and at the end position, you're going to go into a lockout. Okay, we're going to do a quick demo. Veronica, do you think you can help me bring the barbell over here? Thank you. I'll get you to do a quick favor of reading it step by step for me.
Step 1, hips width apart.
Okay, so hip width distance apart.
Step 2, your bar over midfoot.
Okay, so bar over midfoot. What I usually would say is when you wear sandals, where your straps would be. Somewhat over the midfoot. So that's where your bar is going to be. Now, once you come into that position, neither are you moving your feet nor your bar. Don't move any of this anymore. Everything else now starts from more flexion of the hips or the knees already. Okay, next, Veronica.
Brace.
Okay, so brace, what do we say? Imagine someone's coming to punch you right in the tummy. Now you're going to go into the bracing position once again before you lift, but then as you prep, we already want to start with that. Okay, next.
Grab bar on outside leg.
What does that mean? I keep the hands on the outside and then I go ahead, grab onto the bar. I don't have it on the inside. I have it on the outside of my legs. From there?
External rotation of hips.
Okay, so what we spoke about ripping the ground apart, another way you can think about it is push your knees out against your elbows. Knees out against your elbows, okay?
Long and relaxed arms.
So I don't bend, I don't tense up, I keep everything relaxed. And then?
Crown of your head up, chest lifted.
Okay, crown of the head up doesn't mean this. Instead, I try to reach this a little higher and I try to lift my chest just a bit more. If you notice, my entire upper body just shifted in angle, okay?
Armpits to hips.
Armpit to hip would look like this, okay?
Push with legs.
Okay, then I engage my core once again, stomach in, imagine I'm going to get punched right in the tummy, inhale, and then I push the wall away from me, I lock out, hips to bar, and then I come back down. Now, if you notice, I can break down my deadlift into two movements. I would break it down into a leg press, where I push my legs, and then I can also break it down to a hip thrust. So when you're doing your deadlift, just cue to yourself, leg press, hip thrust. So if I can just break that down into two movements for you, it will look something like this. Inhale, I go into my leg press, and then I thrust. So you want to start thrusting after the bar reaches your knee. You don't want to start already pushing up and doing this. So let yourself lift off first. So lift and then thrust. Okay, now, one of the ladies asked me just a few days ago, she's like, hey, how high up should I keep my hips? Good question. So what I mentioned, bar over the feet, don't move the bar anymore. I grab onto the bar. Now, all you have to do is to move the shin forward till it touches the bar. So if you notice, you saw my hips drop. So that is exactly where we want the hips to be. So drop until your shin touches the bar, and then from there, I'm going to lift. Now, if I drop even further, do you notice my knees are coming in the way of the bar already? So the first thing that would happen, if I do that, would be my hips will go up first, to make way for the bar. So we do not want that. You just want the shins to gently touch the bar. From there, armpit to hip, leg press, and then go into your hip thrust. Okay, perfect. Now, any questions on this? I would love for each one of you, start with a light weight if you need to. So this is a 20 kg bar, for example. We even have a 15 kg bar. Usually you would find it in the gym. So if you can use a 15 kg bar, just 5 and 5 on each side, that would make it 25 kg. Just start experimenting with your deadlifts. Go through this entire checklist. Just try it out on your own. That would be something I would love for you to experiment on. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you so much. Okay, now, moving on. Before that, any questions, sorry? About deadlifts? Anything at all? All good. Okay, just a couple more movements and then we will be done. Lunges, anything about lunges you guys can tell me about? What goes through your mind when you do lunges? Okay, now just remember, when you're lunging, your front leg is doing a squat, which means your weight needs to be in the front leg, your quad needs to be working. So that will look something like this. I would lunge, keep the weight in my front leg. I will keep the weight in my front leg as I come back. I do not want to shift back, dump the load in the back and the knee, and then I won't have any power. I don't know what to use to actually lift myself up. So whenever I'm lunging, I'll think about squatting with my front leg, put all the weight into my front leg, tap the knee, and come back up. The weight stays in this leg throughout. It stays in my front leg, and I push off with my front leg. So I would say, when you're lunging, squat with the front leg, rip the ground apart with that foot. That will help you externally rotate the hip and keep the knee safe. And when you're pushing off, still lean into the front leg and come back. If you also noticed, my torso doesn't stay upright. I keep it hinged. I'm not dumping my weight down. I'm just hinging. I tap, I stay hinged, and then I come back up. Okay, any questions on that? All good. Now, next movement, upper body push and pull movements. Okay, with push, I would say one of the biggest lessons I've learned is just to make sure whenever you're pushing in any kind of way, don't elevate your shoulders. So when you're pushing up this way, when you're doing your shoulder presses, just make sure you're keeping everything relaxed. You are pulling armpit down to the hip and then going for your pushing movement. That will take a lot of load off your shoulders and your neck. So for example, you're doing shoulder presses. Doing shoulder presses and you feel that, hey, my right hand is going up really steady. My left hand is not. My left hand is struggling. What do we do? I would just say level it down and just keep going with more reps until you can strengthen that weaker hand and then moving on. Some people are like, hey, should I just do 10s with my right? And then I go down to 7.5 with my left. Then your right is always going to be stronger, left is always going to be weaker. So what you can focus on is just increasing reps with the lighter weight, work towards that volume, and then see how we can progress from there. Pull movements, mostly I would say my tips would be whenever you're working your back muscles. Example for lat pull down. Sorry, Yuri, I'm just going to come on over here. You can stay there, don't worry. Okay, lat pull down, I would always have a thumb overhand grip. So whenever I want to work my back muscles, instead of gripping this way, I would bring my thumb over into an overhand. Why? Because when I have my hand in an overhand grip, I use less of my biceps, I use more of my back muscles. So when it comes to lat pull down, cable rows, I would always go for an overhand grip. And whenever you want to target your lats, what you need to do is to pull with your elbows. Never ever pull with your hand. So imagine I'm pulling something. Instead of me just pulling like that, I think about driving my elbow back, 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 back. And that will help you target right into your lat. So even with pull up, when you're pulling, think about bringing the elbow down to the hip instead of you just driving with your hands. So if you can notice what we've talked about, how one cue can make a big difference. How me just putting the elevation under Julia's feet, it actually helped her go so much deeper into her squats. How just ripping the ground apart, peeing onto the wall, helps you go much, much deeper into your squat. So just knowing how to work with your anatomy, first of all, understanding your body, that is key. We will never perform the same as our neighbor. You have to figure out, hey, what are my goals? What are my limitations? What do I have to work with? And then building your workouts from there. Otherwise, you're never going to see progress. You're never ever going to be satisfied. You always feel like, hey, I've worked out so much, nothing's happening. Just that you've never worked out for yourself. You've just been doing everything else. And so this is the difference between merely just moving and you training. Training comes with intention, comes with a purpose. How do we turn all this into a workout that actually works for you? Okay, so very importantly, you need intent over intensity. So just because you go intense, just because you are running 10K, 20K every single day, doesn't mean that you are getting big benefits. Just because I do 100 squats doesn't make me super strong after that. So it's really about the quality of each muscle contraction. quality of each movement that would actually give you those benefits. Now we're going to talk a little bit about how we can increase the intensity safely. Okay, so you can feel free to take a photo of that. You can increase your intensity through sets and reps. For example, when I train, I like to do 4 sets of every exercise. It could go between 6 to 12 reps. If I'm pushing with load, if I'm doing max weight with my squats, I'm going to take 4 sets of 6 reps. Now if I want to work on, hey, I just want to work on the quality of each movement, increase my performance, I would go 4 sets of 10 to 12 reps instead. So knowing, are you working performance or are you working muscle hypertrophy, which is muscle growth? So if you want to work performance, you want to work strength, we go higher reps. If you want to work muscle growth, you go lower reps. Why? Because you want to be able to push to your max every single rep. Now, also, if you're working towards muscle growth, in between each set, I would take up to 2 minutes to rest, because you want your muscles to completely rest so that in the next set, you can push that max load again. Whereas if I'm working performance and strength, I would take 45 seconds in between each set. I don't take much of a break in between. So your rest time also determines what your end goals are. Okay, so that's reps and sets. Resistance. Resistance comes in weights, load. It can be a resistance band. So knowing how to increase resistance that way. Training volume. What is training volume? Training volume is the amount of work you do, the amount of exertion you go through within a given period. So how much load am I carrying within a week? How much am I going through within a month? So if you work out once a month, once a year, you're never going to hit loads. So knowing how much load you want to hit, and then working on, hey, how many trainings do I need to do? Do I have to do 12 sets of 12 reps that week, or do I have to do 24 reps? So knowing how you can build your number of workouts accordingly. Stability and stance. Squats are going to be much more stable than your lunges. So knowing what you're working on and how you're going to increase the intensity. In one set of my squats, I do 10 reps. But in one set of my lunges, I have to do 20 reps instead, because I got to work each leg on its own. So that can also increase intensity. Finally, tempo. Tempo is the pace of your exercise. Are you going to go up and down fast? If I do this, I'm never going to be able to work on my form. I'm not going to get into that depth and the intensity. Whereas if I do a tempo of 3 seconds down, 1 second hold, 1 second up, no break, 3 seconds down, 1 second hold, 1 second up, that is actually going to increase the efficiency of my exercise. So once again, going back to, hey, what is it am I working on? Am I working on cardio? Or am I working on strength and muscle growth? So knowing accordingly, this is the reason why you need to know the purpose of your exercise. Progression principles, frequency. So quick roundup of everything we just spoke about. How frequently are you going to exercise? How frequently are you going to do what you want to get better at? Overload. So this term is very, very important. We call it progressive overload. A lot of people say, hey, I want to lose weight. I want to gain strength. The only way we can achieve that, or one of the most effective ways we can gain that, is to go through progressive overload, which means you're gradually increasing weight. Now, if your shoulder presses, you don't have any injuries, you're all good, for a year you're doing just 5 kg shoulder presses, then something is wrong. If you were doing 2 kg and then you went into a 5, that is amazing progress. That's actually progressive overload. But from a 2.5, you cannot jump to a 10. It has to go to 5, go to 7.5, go to 10. So one of our ladies, when she first came a year and a half ago, 2.5 kg shoulder presses, and even that was like, we have to push to get her to 10 reps. Now she's actually working on 10 kgs already, which is because of consistency. Twice a week, every single week, and you can see that gradual progress from there. So very important. By the books, what does progressive overload means? It means you're carrying a bit heavier every single week, but that's not very feasible. You can't be adding 5 kgs to your squat every single week, but just over time, you see that progression in weights and progression in effort. And recovery, so important. You do not recover, you're not going to gain the strength. So recovery can come in diet, sleep, active recovery like yoga, Pilates, whatever that you're doing, that really needs to be a consistent habit as well. Okay. I think we are almost there. Okay, so now what you have to do from here is, it's going to be a long-term journey, knowing how to change this knowledge into results to own your own progress. So you need to start to see progress in your workout. You can't be like, hey, I've been trying to lose weight for the last 10 years. I haven't been able to even drop 1 kg. So knowing that, hey, something that I'm doing is not working, or whatever I'm trying to do, I've not been at it consistently. So trying to figure out what works for you and what's best, what's most feasible and sustainable. Mindset shift, just thinking about what you have learned today on how you train, how differently you can train, what clicked for you today, and also knowing how much control you actually have over your gains, and that progress isn't about doing more, but it could be about doing less, but doing it better instead. And also, if you can send me that training plan that you have created for yourself. Now, I will give you my word, share the training plan with me, and I'm going to refine it for you exactly to how it would benefit you, how you're going to target and hit your goals, and then we're just going to help you track your progress from there. So today's going to be the first step, and every step we're just going to move forward from there. Thank you so much. I really hope this gave you a better insight on how to train. That is actually not as complicated as what you think it is, and it's very possible. You just got to take the first step forward and take it really slowly with intention and to really suit yourself. So now it's just working out for yourself and working out for your specific goals.